All right, so this is Mels 603, summer 2016. This is the June 30th session. Some housekeeping things. Remember, now next week we don't have class. It's 4th of July week. So we don't have class next week. And then we will have, two more classes after that. So we're winding down. I've been very pleased with everybody, the amount of work that everybody's done in terms of their Blackboard assignments, their discussion boards. Y'all are all keeping up really well with task stream. To that end, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to cover a couple things again tonight that I have seen, and then I'm going to move on. I'm going to cover the CAP tonight. The SIOP tonight too, and I'm going to cover final submissions tonight because some of you are racing ahead, and I don't want to slow you down. So let me start with OMA Component D tonight. One of the things that I'm seeing consistently in review of these is we're not doing the strengths, weaknesses of the process and then recommendation for improvement of the process. Now, you might have some of that stuff embedded in your narrative, but you need to pull out a separate section at the end that says strengths of the scheduling process or the management process, I guess, which includes scheduling. And you need to pull out one separately that says weaknesses. And then you need to have a separate set of recommendations. Now, obviously, those recommendations in D become the specific activities of your process plan in E. And I saw one today that had this stuff embedded, but it was not pulled out separately. And, as I've told you before, make it easy for you graders. We're old and slow. We want things handed to us. We want to make it easy. And if they don't see a section, strengths, weaknesses, and recommendations, they think it's not there. They don't bother to read that it's embedded in the different sections as you go. Pull it out separately at the end, and that relates. And then that leads them right to E, and they say, oh, here are the recommendations, and oh, they became the specific activities. Always make it easier for, if any of you have done national boards, you know what I'm talking about. Make it easy for your reader. So that's the one thing that I would say that I have seen consistently so far is on component D. You will have strengths and weaknesses and recommendations, but they won't be in a separate section. And I would do that. That will help you. And then obviously when you go to E, that process plan, you take those recommendations and just put them right here under specific activities. That's what they become. Really simple. So, and that will stand you in good stead. Now, let's talk about this final box. I'm having trouble with my mouse here. Here we go. All right, this final box here. This final box is where the final evidence narrative goes. You've got all your components, just like this is Leanna's. See, she's the star pupil here, sits in the front of the class. She's got all of her components done. Now, at any time, she can put them all together in one document, write her summary and descriptors, and submit that entire evidence for the final evaluation, or what we call the state evaluation. Now, I can't tell you that the state's going to grade yours. They pull 30% of them at random to read. We grade them all in terms of your internship supervisor and your evaluator does the state grading on the state rubric. So although the components have been graded along the way for Gardner Webb, this is the one that counts for the state. This is the one that matters. So you take all these components and you put them all in one document, make it look like you wrote it all at one time, and make sure your references are at the end and there's only one list of them. Don't have references at the end of each component section. Don't have some background description of the setting. Don't have that for every component. Have that one time at the beginning of your paper and then make it flow. So that's what goes here. So if we click on that, requirement directions distributed to the author, upload components A through E in one document called the final evidence narrative and any artifacts that you have. Now, in addition, there's a form. Over here on the right side of your screen, there will be a button that says complete form. When you click on it, it's gonna be where you put your summary and descriptors. So make sure, since, let's see, I know that's not going to be it, is it? Open. Task stream is terrible to download from. I'm sure it won't come up. Let's see what we get. No, I won't get it. No, I better stop before I make a mess here. No, it's not going to come up. But let's see if I can make that quit. See what it'll do. Yeah, it's just the directions again. Let me close that. All right, so there'll be on the right side of your screen, there'll be a button that says complete form. And that's where you go in to load your summaries and descriptors. Now, let me go to a student in a different group so we can see what I'm talking about. Actually, we'll go to me. We'll pretend I'm a student here. All right, so when we click on the final one in the line, the final evidence narrative, when we click on this one, there's going to be a place for you to upload. There'll be a place for you to upload your final evidence narrative and any artifacts that you have. And then there'll be a button on the right that says complete form. And when you click on that, it's going to open up a window for you. For your summary and descriptors. It's a 3-part summary. And then all the descriptors that go with that when you have to write them. Now, if you don't know how to write summaries and descriptors, that's okay. Under Task Stream Tools, I have a document writing summaries and descriptors. And so let's look at that one right quick. Let's see if it'll let me do this. There it is. So, how to write a task stream summary. There'll be 3 boxes. Really, there's not supposed to be 3. They wanted a bigger box. They couldn't make a bigger box, so they made 3. So what you really do is you take and answer these questions that I have for you for each of the 6 evidences. They're a little different. You answer the questions, divide your narrative, you write it in Word, divide your narrative into 3 parts, and drop it in those 3 boxes, and that'll be your summary. And then for descriptors, you write 5 sentences content. Like 1B1, which is the first descriptor for the app cell, about forming your PLC. What'd you do? For 1B1 content, what was done? I formed a PLC. How'd I do it? I used all the math teachers. Analysis, what happened as a result? We instituted Hawaiian math, the old algebra A1 and 1A and 1B. Outcome, the guy did implement it was assessed, students did better. Reflection, we'd do it again. It didn't cost us any money and everybody loved it. That's how you do descriptors. The same 5 sentences. So that's what you do. And answering these questions will write your summary for you. Now, if you still don't feel really confident, if you will also under Task Stream Tools, if you'll look, I have a document called Accomplished Summaries and Descriptors. And it'll show you exactly what they'll look like. Exactly what each of the 6 of them look like. So just like this was Carol. For 1B1, this is 5 sentences. Now, Carol wrote 5 sentences longer than I do, but the same 5 sentences. I addressed descriptor 1B1 and evidence 1 app cell by creating a math PLC in my school designed to focus on new strategies for math instruction. Then she went on to say how she did it, content process, outcome, reflection, evaluation. She went right through the 5 sentences. So if you don't know what they're asking you, this is a really good document because Carol hit each one of these a nail on the head in terms of what they were asking her to do. So you've got a document that tells you how to write summary and descriptors, or shows you how to write them, then you've got an example of what they should look like. They're under task stream tools. So once you get all the components of any particular evidence graded, you can at that time put them all together in one document, all your components, and submit it and any artifacts you might have, like emails or pictures or something like that. Write your summary and descriptors. Yes, Elizabeth.
I have a question, like on Blackboard, where we put things in the box for you. Is that what you mean when you have like the SBIP, the stakeholder community involvement plan or whatever? Is that what you mean for us to do? Like go ahead and do A through E of those evidences? Like go ahead and put them together?
Yes, I mean it's the ones right above them. It's the A through E right above them. Okay. Remember, the components are not seen by the state, and you can't get a grade until you put them all in one group, and that's what's submitted to the state for them to see. The components are for Gardner Webb. State doesn't want to see components. So
your Blackboard, we just put them all together like we're really going to do on task stream. Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Exactly right. I want to get you in that habit. Now, I have other documents under task stream tools, and they're templates that you can use to put these together if you want to. Now, you can just put them together yourself if you want to, your components, or you can go to, let's see if I can get out of this now. You can go to, you can also go to task stream tools and see those templates. And let me show you what those templates look like. Again, they're under task stream tools. We'll look at the one for the app cell. They'll say app cell final evidence. And what it is just a template. And that's what, and I've already done the margins, made it APA, where you can just copy and paste in it, and it's got note reminders and examples. These are to help you, and it has the correct format for your references, and the margins are already set, and it makes it just really easy. You can just copy and paste or you can just put your work, copy and paste, put your work together. Either way, these are optional. Some students like these, others, just like putting their own work together. But there's also a template for each of the 6, so when you put them together. And yes, this is what would go in the assignment Dropbox, the final. When you put all of them together, put it together to skip, that's what we go in Blackboard. That's correct, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
All right, so that's some reminders on task stream. I'm seeing y'all. Don't wait on us. Race ahead as far as you can go. If you can start putting them together and getting the final ones graded, go now. You don't have to wait till the 5th semester to do that. Do it now. I mean, when you're ready, go ahead and start putting them together and submitting them. My interns, I have them finished by the end of 604. I don't like waiting to 605 to be done. And so if you can get through by 604, you'll be a lot happier person. You won't have that deadline hanging over you. All right, so that's that. Now, I do cover tonight. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back and take that one out, and I am going to open my notes and go to the SOP. One of the things that I'm seeing, and not you folks that are with me tonight, but some of the other folks, is you're looking at these as as one-offs where you're creating new work. There is no new work in the SIOP. The SIOP is when you start putting together the work that you've done in the first 5 of the evidences, but it has to be comprehensive work. For example, in the school data image project, I should see all of the stuff that you had in OMA A, B, and C. 4A, B, and C. I should see all of that stuff. One of the things that I'm seeing for Component D, focus group project, you're supposed to address the teacher working analysis, that's teacher working conditions, that's the CAP. You're supposed to address all of them in this one, and I'm seeing only addressing the SCIP, the information from parent community involvement. I'm not seeing any of the stuff from the CAP, the APSEL, or the APTEL. Please remember to go back and read through these notes again, and remember, they're asking you to put multiple parts together. They're asking you to take the stuff that you had from the CAP, put it together with the APSEL and the APTEL, and make bigger plans, because eventually in F, you're going to put all the action plans, all the marketing plans, and all the process plans together and make one big graphic organizer, which is the working copy of your school improvement plan. It has everything in it that you're going to do. It has who the people are they're going to do it, the timeline they're going to do it on, the resources they're going to need. That's what we're having you to do. But we're breaking it into small. We break the 6 into small components, and then we divide it. We have 6 different ones, or five prior to this one. But then we finally put it all together, and guess what? You have a comprehensive school improvement plan. But please remember, no new work in 6. You're pulling stuff from that you've already done from other components, but pretty much you pull from every component from every evidence for each of the components in the SIOP. It's a compilation of things. It's not just 6D is not just pulling information from the SCIP. It pulls information and data from all of the previous evidences that you did. The APTEL, the APSEL, the SCIP, the OMA, and the CAP. It doesn't just pull from one. So make sure that you understand it's a comprehensive document. So let me see if I can show you. If you look at the examples that I had given you, you will see that. So let me get out of this one. Let me go back and get out of that one. Now, so if we go back and look at, let's go back and look at carries. So for Carrie's final submission for the APSEL, she had all her components. She's got her final document here that has all of her A through E in it. It's all contained in one document. She has all of the separate artifacts that are different media that can't be embedded in that Word document, like PDFs and emails and screen captures and things like that, of email permission from her principal and an interview and those kinds of things, separate things that she didn't embed in her narrative. So they're there. Here's where her summary and descriptors are. And here are her summary, and here are her descriptors. She's written 5 sentences, and there they are, right there. And that's what they look like. That's what a completed evidence that's been graded looks like. Now, let me go over here. I want to show you her submission for 6. You notice that all the dates are these on the spring. This is one of my group that's graduating this semester. They finished in March. We had a cookout this week in Raleigh. I went and visited them. They're having the time of their life in 605 because they had all their evidence work done by 604. So you can see she has her Okay, so you can see she used the template. She has all the information. This is going to be a really long one. Oh no. And so, oh my. See, this is pretty much all the other ones put together. See how long the final one is? I mean, it's just huge. You're pulling all that data from the first 5. Huge, huge, huge. I'm gonna have to get out of this. It's affecting, but you can see. And then when we get to the end, she's got all of her stuff, all of her action plans, marketing plans, all of it's here together. All of it in for F here. It's all put together, and that's what you will do when you get there. I'm gonna have to close some of this stuff, or my video's gonna drop. All right. So again, 6 is a compilation of the first 5. It is a data dump. It is huge. It will be probably half as big as all the other ones put together because you're pulling so much from them. But remember, it's not a one-off thing. There is no new work. It is a compilation of the first 5 different parts of the first 5 evidences that you did. So make sure that you remember that. Let me close task stream. Pulling my CPU usage down. I'm getting warning messages to close it. All right. So let me go back here. You share. All right. Any questions about task stream, about OMA, or about SOP? Any questions, anything that I've covered for you? Everybody's good? All right. Okay. For tonight, we were doing facilities tonight. I won't start with this again. We've seen this before. Again, in practical application as an AP, this is the facilities that you'll be interested in. Is making sure, because you'll get to go twice a month or once a month around the building with the custodian and make sure that this is clear, and once a year with the fire marshal. So don't forget this. This is going to be what you need to make sure that you can do your job as an AP, because they're going to turn this over to you immediately. So don't forget that. So that's your facilities. That's what it's going to be for you in the practical application of facilities. Is going to be, you're going to have to make sure everything is safe and secure. All right, now. Second thing that you're going to be interested in as an AP, I can close this one. The second thing, okay, share screen. The second thing that you're going to be interested in, and the principal's probably going to put you in charge of, is TWC facilities and resources. Probably going to print it off just like this and hand it to you. These are the facilities and resources questions from the teacher working conditions survey. And smart principals, when they hand you that assessment inventory, or you'll find one, they'll also tell you to find this, or they'll hand you this. And these are the things that you'll need to be working on as an AP. These are management things. Teachers have sufficient access to appropriate instructional materials. They'll come to you. You'll do the ordering. You'll maintain the book room or whatever materials that are out there. That will be under your purview. You'll work with the school secretary to purchase and make sure, and the folks in the central office in purchasing, to make sure that you have the appropriate instructional materials for, like if y'all are doing reading 3D or if you're doing RTI, those lessons, you'll be the one to make sure that all those materials arrive at your school. That's important. You know that there's a lot of materials with RTI, those prescribed lessons. There's a lot with Reading 3D, and both of those are pretty much mandated. What Reading 3D is, and RTI, I think, is now. I don't think there's any districts that don't use RTI. That's response to intervention. That's for your intervention kids. And you know that there's a lot of materials with each of those. So when we talk about, I heard a commercial this week about the shortage on textbooks. There are no textbooks. We don't use textbooks. We use materials. You'll be responsible for ordering and making sure that teachers have those materials. They don't, teachers aren't the happiest people in the world to have to do Reading 3D and RTI and some of the other things that they're having to do. And it really makes them mad when those prescribed lessons and those materials aren't in the building when they want them. So that's going to be one of your number one tasks. Teachers have sufficient access to instructional technologies, including computers, printers, software, and anyone. You're going to be the one that has to keep that up and running. If it breaks down, if you don't have a technology coordinator at your building, Gardner-Webb is starting a instructional technology master's degree program for people who this fall, for people who want to be instructional technology people in buildings. And I know a lot of schools, instead of having instructional, they're using that position, what used to be content coach or instructional coach or whatever. They're using one of those to hire a technology person. If you have one of those in your school, that you're a lucky person. If not, that will be you. You will have to make sure that the computers and the printers and the software and the internet access is up and going if you don't have a technology person in your building. Hopefully you will have that. Some of the smaller schools don't. If you don't, that's going to be you. Teachers have access to reliable communication phones. Again, that's going to be you. Make sure that the phones in their rooms work, and that the fax machine and the copy machine in the copy room still work. Yeah, that's the next one. I think one of the reasons I lost my hair was I was working on a copy machine when I was principal in 7th and 8th grade building at Ellenborough, and I reached in the copy machine without unplugging it, and it got electrocuted me. That was a long time ago, but that's not changed. You got to keep the copy machine going. You've got to make sure that there are supplies. That's going to be up to you. Professional support personnel. You're going to be the liaison to all the people from the central office, the content people, the curriculum people. Again, you're going to do the assessment inventory, which means the environment is clean and well maintained. Teachers have adequate space to work productively. You're going to keep the place cleaned up and fixed up so it's not just a big junk pile, especially in the teacher workroom, which tend to be catch all the clutter and junk at the building. You're going to have to keep it cleaned out, and don't set it outside. I went and did an audit. One of the last, I think it was actually the last year that before I retired, I went out because we were having a state audit, and I'd go out after all our auditors went out to a middle school in Charlotte. They had the inside of the school, all the junk out of it, but they just piled it right outside the back door. Can't do that. You need to make sure that everything has a place, and if it doesn't have a place, you need to get it hauled off. But don't set it outside the back door. That's the first thing the state auditor does is walk around the building. So it has to be hauled off. Physical environment of the classroom supports teaching and learning. As I said, I was in Raleigh Tuesday night with our 605 group, Dr. Ted and Dr. Danny and I. They've taught them, and I had them as interns all the way through, and Carrie Trainer works in Cary, and she was talking about they're building new schools, but the classrooms look much, much different. They only had like a pod of 9 traditional desks. The rest they had some low tables and high chairs and those kinds of things. And they're talking about some of the schools now are going back to a more open concept, like from the 70s. There's a lot of different things. I mean, when I was an elementary principal a long time ago in Montessori, we had lofts in the rooms and all that kind of stuff, and we had sand and water. So you're going to have to adapt when you become an AP to whatever the theme is in your building is the point of that. But, in the end, you're going to have to know what is actually educational that supports teaching and learning, and what's just clutter and junk. And you're going to have to make sure that you keep teachers from cluttering up the building and having drop cords run all over and all that kind of thing that the fire marshal, not only just the fire marshal, but it's a safety hazard for the children in the room. But you need to be well versed in different curricula well enough to know. And I've got a PowerPoint that goes with this idea tonight, that you need to learn about alternative classroom design and alternative school design if you're going to go into that. And that's kind of coming back again. That's becoming popular again as public schools seek to compete with charter and private schools, and not so that they present education in a non-traditional way. One of the ways is you present the building and the classroom in a non-traditional way. You need to be versed in those things. But, clutter is clutter and junk is junk, and you should know the difference. The reliability and speed of internet is a school of official support instructional practices. You'll need to make sure that you can keep that up to date if you can, if you have any input in that. Now, to the point that I was just making, I have one. Let's see what this one is. Oh, that's not it. Still not it. Aha! The one that says educational facility planning. And what I like about this one is, as again, everything old is new again, and vice versa. As we continue to move into changing education, how it looks and how it's presented in order to try to keep up with charters and privates, we're going back again to the link between how the building looks and the educational methodology or educational theory that we're operating under. Back to, some schools are going back to open schools, some are going back to, experiential, where you have sand and water in the room and you learn to count with blocks and everything's tactile. Going back to some of that stuff, and we're also going back to different kinds of spaces that may be more open or more multi-purpose than traditional classrooms. And as that happens, this is a good one. Negotiated learning, open lab, demonstration, inquiry. You need to remember all of these instructional methodologies because they all present differently in the way they look and the spaces that they require. There's actually a link between facilities and instruction and different instructional concepts and modalities. And so that's why I like this one. Team teaching requires bigger classrooms because you might put both groups together. I remember back in the 70s, I visited them in the early 80s, but back in the 70s during the open concept, there was a junior high school in Winston-Salem. They went in and they knocked like half of the wall between classrooms out, but it was the middle half, and they left a quarter on each side so the building wouldn't fall down. And so they could do team teaching. We're going back to building facilities like that now. Because we want, that's one of the things that we did in the past that folks liked, but once we got into the accountability era, we thought we needed to go back to traditional classrooms and put the kids in desks and rows to get better test scores. But we're losing market share because students and parents are looking for something different than that. And charters and privates are offering that. And so how you build facilities and maintain and keep up facilities, it should be linked to the curricular theory and content that you're working on. Non-graded school, open campuses, schools within schools, all of these things we're coming back to again. And this, you need knowledge of educational program and curriculum. But my point in having this for you is, as you become an AP, you may move into a different environment than you're used to being in. It may be a different grade level. It may be a different part of town. It may be a different philosophy or theory. It may be a different district than you've worked in before. You need to make sure that you understand that there is a connection between facilities and instruction and instructional theory and the philosophy that building is trying to portray. One of the big culture shocks for a friend of mine, well, actually, she was my intern, and then she was Dr. Robertson's assistant principal, but she's a principal now in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, and her first principalship was at a Montessori elementary school. Now, she'd been in elementary before. She was actually a junior high teacher and then a middle school teacher in Charlotte, And then she was an elementary AP, but her first principalship was at a Montessori school. And she had a hard time adjusting and adapting because the physical environment was so different. You need to understand that physical environments mirror the curricular philosophy, and you need to get an understanding of that when you walk in, so that you don't think, oh, this looks like a junkyard to me, or this looks crazy, or this is different. But you need to get an understanding of the relationship between curricular theory and facilities, because there is one. And we're going back to that again. There used to be, and we're going back to that again, thank goodness. So that's a good slide. That's a good PowerPoint, and it serves that purpose. All right, share screen. All right, go to this one. Okay, we should be back on. We should be back on share again here. All right. Let me go back to share screen. Close that one. Getting a little stormy in my area. I'm trying to move on a little quicker here. I'm afraid I'm going to lose you. Finance and education. The reason I've got this slide tonight, and this is kind of out of order, but it talks about the state trying to take over schools more and do more and more funding. That's not correct. That has changed. This is an older slide. The state's trying to do less and less, and so this is a good PowerPoint. But remember that it's exactly opposite. Since 2008, the state is trying to do less and less funding in school instead of more and more, especially in facilities. Let me close that one out. Let me go back to this one. See if I can get this one back. I hear that thunder rumbling. Okay. That one we just saw. Back to this. Keep coming up with the same one. Let me see. Aha! It finally came back up. Okay, here we go. All right, share screen. Here it is. Now, to kind of summarize what I've covered tonight, on facilities, the operations, the emergency we've covered how to keep them clean. We talked about maintenance and safety, and we've done the crisis box. The operational part is what I've tried to cover tonight is facilities, have to work for you, the TWC, those things, keeping up the facilities that you have. what you're going to be called on and expected to do in the management piece for your facilities, and you're going to be the facility manager, basically you and the custodian as the new AP, because nobody likes to do this work. Because you can measure how effective you are really easily by how many complaints you get. You can't hide if you don't do a good job of facilities. And so this is kind of a summary of all those things. Better to plan and prevent accidents to have to pay for liabilities. That's what I'm talking about, using that assessment inventory every month. All of those things. This kind of puts it all together for you. This is a good one, and does some of the legal part. So this facility plans kind of encapsulate all the stuff about facilities that I want you to know. I've covered the individual pieces, and this kind of puts it all together for you. Questions about facilities. Now, I'm not going to talk about letting bonds or building new schools. That's way above your pay grade as an assistant principal or a principal. We have to save something to teach you in the 6-year program and the doctoral program. So that's a little plug for programs down the road. But when you get to your 6-year program or your doctoral program, that's when you will do finance, and you will learn about how to let a bond, how to manage a construction site, the central office kind of things that you would do. You don't do any of those things at the principal level anymore. I'm old enough that I did construction management as a principal, but that went out, I think that probably went out in about, with No Child Left Behind, kind of took that one off our plate. And so I don't know any school district that requires the principal to be a construction manager anymore. That was one of those things that was changed in law. But when I was principal in Burke County, I had to manage construction, and that was not my forte. So that's not in there anymore. So those are things, the bigger picture things. You'll do those on down the road in the central office, but they're not principal things. Mostly as a principal, facilities and finances, you need to keep up with your budgets, you need to keep up with your buildings, you need to keep up with fundraisers and parent groups, and I've covered all those things for you, hopefully. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Anything that I can answer for either of you? Well, I'm going to close down 15 minutes again early tonight. I had to last night again because of the storms. I'm getting a lot of lightning, and I think I'm going to lose my signal here. It's showing me a signal degrade. So I'm going to go ahead and close out tonight. If there's anything, because I've kind of hit this last slide very quickly for time purposes, if there's any questions that anybody has, do not hesitate to email me. If you have any questions on evidences or anything in Blackboard or in TaskStream, don't hesitate. Y'all are doing a great job, and I appreciate it. Anything for the good of the group, Leanna or Elizabeth, who are with me?
No, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Have a happy 4th of July.
You too. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Y'all have a good evening. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.